So there's this one day, uh, I went to see Marker, right? Talking about him for a while, and he showed me this really nice cafe around the residential area of Harajuku. He had grown old, so he was just drinking some fruity tea to not get his nerves going. But anyways, what he told me that day was that let me pull up my notes. Okay, he said, I will have spent my life trying to understand the function of remembering, which is not the opposite of forgetting, but rather its lining. We do not remember. We rewrite memory much as history is rewritten. How can one remember thirst? And now that was kind of funny because after he said that, I just stared at him. And then I just automatically took a sip, to which he took a sip, and then we just looked at each other and laughed. It was kind of sweet. He had told me about his trips in Tokyo, and more actually around Japan. He showed me a lot of footage. He had showed me some of that stuff before, which I don't know if I showed you, but he fostered this desire of mine to come visit him and just do the same. So, and as I rewrite these memories right now, I bring them to a state of symbolic ambiguity that would not exist without the act of remembrance and delusion.
Well, I remember, do I? When we last saw each other, and we talked for hours without saying any words. It was his birthday, and we sat next to each other without looking at each other. I started reading because I didn't want to interrupt the stillness of the moment, the silence I felt going through my soul. I read when I feel anxious or don't feel like staring into the emptiness of the landscape. Ironically enough, I would learn during this trip that it's only human nature to do so. I learned to sit for no reason, just to sit and stare into emptiness. My first recollection of me doing that was when I was 9 years old, super irritated, angrier than ever for reasons insignificant enough for my brain to ignore. I was on my sit at the back and center of the classroom, staring at nothing. It ends up, I got sent to the school infirmary. We then walked around the neighborhood, trying to find a place where we could just go in, point at some characters, and enjoy the surprise meal. It was already getting dark, but still very hot to keep talking and walking. We saw a passage with a sign at the back of it that seemed like a restaurant. We walked in and sat where they directed us. I felt like an imposter because it seemed as if I was rewriting memories over a face I was trying to forget, and it wasn't working very well. So there was this other day when I was rushing, again, moving through the warmth of a crowded city in the summer. I got entertained by this exhibit. It was on abstract expressionism, and I just lost the trace of time. Sometimes I get carried away by the present and ignore the future, which sometimes is not ideal, but somehow brings chaotic fun into an ordinary life. As I kept going from street to street, I finally saw the little sign and went in. Foucault Le Fou was sitting in a little garden inside the cafe. He told me that day that... Wait, I have the notes. Oh yeah. Yeah, he told me that day that an examination of the sand also permits the discovery under the unique aspect of a trait or a concept of the myriad events through which, thanks to which, against which they were formed. He was telling me about this concept he was working on called genealogy, and that it does not pretend to go back in time to restore an unbroken continuity that operates beyond the dispersion of forgotten things. Yeah. He always speaks in riddles.
Izutsu ni